And oh my gosh, I wish there was such an organization when I was a youth. I welcome the opportunity to share with you how I was homeless as an infant. I was homeless as a youth related to pregnancy. And what I have done with what I've learned so that I don't look back to the past, I look at the present and I move toward the future. And everyone is able to do that. So it is very humbling to be here to speak at your AGM of this wonderful organization. I will share with you 3 lived experiences, and because of those experiences, I'm doing what I do today. So number 1 is I was born on the island of Jamaica to a 16-year-old young mother, and I was told by my grandma that my mom did not know what to do, so she heard about where my dad lived, and she went and left me in a cardboard box outside the gate. At that time in the 40s, you're talking about age, I am retired, so I'm so passionate about helping youth that I will go anywhere and I will speak and support any outreach that will help youth, young people. If you notice that they're giving the age group from 15 to 25 sometimes when it's related to work. At other times it's up to 21. So whatever age group, I go out and speak because of my passion for helping others, looking at my lived experiences. So being homeless at age 6 months, I was very fortunate. My first angel was my grandma. In those days in the 1940s when I was born, it was a terrible, terrible shame for a young girl in high school or in school to have a baby out of wedlock. So of course I was hidden away in the suburbs. I was very unwanted because this should not have happened. I hardly went to school, but I had my angel as my grandma that says, no matter what happens, you can be a very good person. When my grandma died and I was age 7, I thought my world is ended. Luckily, I was able to go to school for a few days and I met a teacher, Miss Livingston. She is my second angel. She also told me that you are smart, you are bright, and just do as much reading as you can, learn to have goals, and from those goals you will be able not only to grow, but to share with others. Do remember that in the 40s, when children live with parents and grandparents that are illiterate, very uneducated, their goal is not to send children to school, their goal is to get them to work the farm. So I worked the farm after my grandma died. I was then moved to the home of my father's sister. She already had 3 grown children. She did not want a 7-year-old. So what I would like you just to take a moment to do is just imagine, you all have heard about child abuse. Recently a football player was arrested or something like that because he spanked his child and there were welts all over the child's leg. So just help me by taking a moment just to reflect on the type of abuses that you have heard that children have undergone. Whether it's reading it in the paper, listening on the news, I'll just give you a moment to do that, please. And if you don't mind, can you share maybe 1, 2, 3 things with me? Any one? An abuse that a child has gone through?
Sexual abuse.
Sexual abuse, that's me.
Emotional.
Emotional abuse, that's Verbal abuse, that's me. Starvation, that's me. There were many days I was not given any food because they were hoping that from not being fed, I would just die because I was not wanted at all. You hear about children getting parents or even friends to say, I love you, I give you a toy, I get you a Christmas gift. I never had anything like that. So here comes my third angel, which is another teacher. And the teacher says, I see an opportunity, Norma, where you can write an exam and you can go to high school. I got every newspaper, every book that I could find, and I wrote that exam, and I had a full scholarship. What that means in the Caribbean is that you can attend high school fully paid, all your tuitions, all your boarding, all your uniform. But remember, during all this time, no one has ever said, what is it you're going through and how are you going to make yourself stronger? So when I got to high school, I did very well, but there's a lot of anger. There is a lot of things that I kept inside of me, things that I could not speak about because just as it is today, there are some parents who do not believe what their children tell them. And of course, I didn't have a dad and I didn't have a mother, so who is going to believe me? I did well in high school. I finished grade 12 with honors. And then I had nowhere to live because I then became pregnant. I can still close my eyes and I can see all what I owned just going out on the street because I was living with a friend. I had no home after high school. I was a boarder. So then I was homeless. Very fortunate, though, here comes another angel, the father of my daughter, Judy. When Judy was born, I lived with her grandmother for a while, and her grandmother took her, and then I immigrated to Canada. I've had angels all the way. In Canada, I became a registered nurse. I worked at the hospital for sick children. There is another angel. They paid my way through school. I then sent for my daughter. She was 6 years of age by then. And then I learned how to become a mother. And I did a great job because I did not want to do anything that was done to me. So then I started volunteering in the community. And I don't know, I've always lived in Mississauga, so I don't know if you're aware of what Peel Region Human Services do. Part of their program is to help at risk youth that have gone out and stolen small items in the store. They have found that some of those kids are really hungry. Peel Region does have hungry kids and homeless kids. We are very rich in some areas, but a lot of our families, new immigrants, people who are just able to work part-time jobs, casual jobs, they are hungry, so their kids will steal. Some kids, as you know, they will steal just for the fun of it. So what I do is I join the organization and I help those children to write letters of apology for the small items they took instead of being jailed for that, so they can then move on with their lives. So that's my second lived experience. My third lived experience, I was a director of nursing at one of the hospitals in Mississauga, and I read where they were building a youth custody facility for children and youth. If you're not familiar with that setting, it's on McLaughlin Road, 1 block south of Queen. And if you are traveling north, it is 1 block north of Steeles. In 2006, they began to build that place, and I looked and I thought, there is a way that I can give back. So can you imagine just leaving the work I was doing? I gave my notice and said, I will be applying for the job, which I got. So I ensured that every youth that was incarcerated at the Roy McMurtry Youth Center had the best health care ever. And it would take me all night to tell you of some of the reasons why those children are incarcerated, because some are housed there today. At one time, the facility there's 192 bed capacity. And at one time last year, there was just so many. The girls were moved to Oakville at Salap's. So the census goes up and down. Sometimes there are not many children there, but children are incarcerated from the age of 12 to 18. And if they are sentenced, they will be there perhaps till they're 20 or 22 because they're being rehabbed, and they're then being able to go back to a community and be productive. So being homeless, working with youth in the community, working at the Roy McMurtry, talking to over 4,000 children. There is that thread that ran in my life, if you think of a literal piece of thread that ran through my life, and also what I see in the community, the thread was very similar. So none of those kids in the community or Norma became involved with the youth justice system because they're mentors, coaches, someone who came alongside to help those children. Then I look at those in the youth justice system, and had there been someone in those children's lives to assist them in some way or the other, change their attitude, come alongside them, help them to read and write, they would not have been there at all. And I truly want you to go away from here tonight and knowing that our children that are engaged in challenging and what we call bad behaviors, there is a reason behind it. No one chooses to get up and be bad. Children that are incarcerated, 1 out of every 4 that walks into the door at Roy McMurtry has a mental illness undiagnosed. Undiagnosed. Many children are there, they cannot see, they cannot hear. Many are there because of hyperactivity, autism, partial blindness. Those children, that's not the place for them. So then I got to the grand old age of 65 and decided I would retire. And then I reflected on this thread and I thought, what can I do to ensure that our children are not caught up in the youth justice system? So I wrote a book, and I brought many copies with me if you just want to look at it. It's called Young Lives on the Line. It tells my story, the girl in the cardboard box. That's how I was told I was left, and someone saw me crawling into the street. What a lucky day for me. And it has the story of 6 youth that I've worked with in our community here in Peel. Their names are not there, their age is not there. They share their story, but they do not want to be identified. And then I look at the thread with all 3 situations, mine, youth in the community, and also the youth that are incarcerated. And I know as a society, we can do better. So in this book are suggestions that came from youth, that are from parents, that are from me. and are from many people in walks of society that says this is what we should be doing to help our teens. And I hear the saying about teens of their future, but we have to think they are present today. We need to start working with them today. And an organization such as yours is doing such a wonderful job. And I just hope that your work, the board and your volunteers and staff continue to support young women, because there are times when they're even afraid to say I'm pregnant, though it is something you cannot hide for long, can you? And I really hope that in sharing my story, that others will know a human being that has gone through all of that, and someone who has, I have forgiven all the individuals. I could only forgive them because I got to know the Lord. I could only forgive them because I knew that many of them were very illiterate and they did not know any better. I have been able to use my time to focus on the present and what we can all do for the future. So having experienced adversities, it's taught me to be grateful, encouraged me to make changes and take action, helps me not to cling to the old patterns of behavior. It has brought out hidden potential that I did not even dream that I have. I asked whether I could say this tonight from this organization, the Dixie Neighborhood Center at Bloor at Dixie and Burnham Thorpe Road. I have gone to those youth and I have presented over 20 sessions with the youth, because each time I go, they want another topic. I've talked to them about youth at risk, obeying and respecting parents, having their parents, encouraging their parents to listen. We need to listen to our children. We need to take time with our children. It does not matter that you're going out to work and rushing away at night or in the evening. Take 10 minutes each day for your children. Life has tested me and I've overcome those obstacles. I'm much better equipped to handle new challenges, and I have learned valuable lessons. New doors have been opened for me, and adversity has built confidence and self-esteem. You can view your past as negative, gloomy, and depressed. But let me assure you that this approach will only make things worse. And you do have adults that have not dealt with their past. It's not just our youth. You can see every seemingly negative experience in your life as an opportunity from which you can learn and grow. Please open your hearts to forgiveness. Change your attitude to can do. With love and support, please do not let your past dictate your future. I will wrap up by saying that our gift of life is priceless. There are individuals that say to me, Norma, you have no anger. You were thrown away. And I say, but I have life. I have life just like the infants that these young girls bring forward. I have life. It carries more than the weight of gold. No one is more cherished in this world than someone who lightens the burden of another person. So when you think of your role and when you think of the young people, the young women that you're helping, Oh, have you ever rolled some of the burdens off their shoulders? The kindness and compassion that you showed to youth and families, and our sincere desire to make a difference, will continue to impact lives, ours, and our community. I thank you, and God's blessing be with you all.